Well, hello again there, everybody. Thoughts from the car. Kyle Nendrip talking high school football with you for a little bit here. As you can see, still light out a little bit. Probably maybe 2 more weeks as we get to the end of these football games at 9:15, 9:30 on a Friday night. Tonight I was out at Noblesville, North Central-Noblesville. It was a scrimmage, the last scrimmage, really the only scrimmage, I guess, but kind of a warm up for next week's games, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully, you've been following along IndyStar.com. We've had a lot of coverage. Of course, more to come next week with predictions and whatnot. But wanted to talk a little bit about the scrimmage tonight. And again, it's what are we talking about? A practice. As Allen Iverson, not a game, not a game, but kind of sort of a game, but not a game. It's basically a scrimmage. You're not really keeping score necessarily, but it's a good chance to kind of gauge where you're at. In an environment where you can still make mistakes, and you're not going to be shredded for it. It's not going to cost you on the scoreboard necessarily. It may cost you in the fill room tomorrow morning, but it's a chance to kind of work out some kinks. And we definitely saw some of that tonight. I will say the first snap of the game, North Central lost on a. No, they didn't lose it, but it snapped over the head of the quarterback, and had to scramble for it. And there was a couple turnovers on both sides. I thought Noblesville, when the starters were in, very physical team, as Dave Sharp's teams have been here at Noblesville the last several years. They're going to want to run the ball, and they do that really well. But talking to Derek Hart, and my intention, and I'm going to write a story about mostly about North Central from this scrimmage. But last year, obviously, really struggled. Derek Hart's first year coming back as coach. He had a lot of success over in Illinois. Of course, played on a state championship team as a starting quarterback at Warren Central when his dad was coaching at Warren, and so he's known mostly success in his career. Then he goes to North Central last year. Yeah, he led Kankakee to the state championship game in Illinois. Comes to North Central last year, and probably not unexpected necessarily. North Central's been really kind of been struggling the last few years when Kevin O'Shea was there, and they had a lot of success. The 2018 game, and I was talking to Derek Hart about this tonight, but that's one of those games that probably always stick with me. The place was packed. They were having a great season. They ended up going 9-3 that year, and kind of, I wouldn't say out of nowhere. They'd kind of been building up a little bit, but I think they won 3 games the year before, and then all of a sudden they're 9-3. They win the sectional. They play Warren Central on a November night in the regional in 2018, and we're in that game, man. It was wild. Wild game. Liam Thompson was the quarterback then, and actually he's helping with the quarterbacks now for North Central. So good to see him tonight. Of course, had a great career at Wabash, but just not to get too sidetracked here, but just to think back to how packed those stands were for that Warren team, and that was, of course, a Warren team that ended up winning state that year with David Bell and Romir Elliott and those guys. So that was a really good team. Obviously, ended up going 14-0, but they battled them as tough as anybody. It was 42-32. It ended up, and if I remember right, they kicked to David Bell, punted to him, I think middle of the fourth quarter, and Bell returned it for a touchdown. I remember even in the moment, I'm like, man, if they kick the ball to him in the middle of the field here, it's going to be a wrap. And it was. Bell took it to the house, and they ended up losing that game. But man, it felt like North Central was on the brink of really coming out of some tough years in football. And a long way of getting to my point here is that they kind of fell back off. Kevin O'Shea left after the 2021 year. They went 1-9 that year. And then actually he went 1-9 and then 0-10 in 2022, and he left after that. And then last year 0-10 again. So North Central, they've been down. They've lost 22 games in a row, going into the season opener next week against Fishers. And I think this is a team that it's going to be tough for them, especially the first few games, because the schedule's pretty relentless. The first 6 weeks, you got Fishers, HSE, Warren, LN, Cathedral, Carmel, and then LC, Pike, and Ben Davis to end the season. So, there's no gimmies on that schedule by any means. But I think, and even talking to the Noblesville personnel players, they said North Central looked like a better team this year. I think it'll start Eli Thompson, and it's kind of keeping a little bit of stats, as the game, goes along, but nothing, nothing specific really. But Eli Thompson, who's the younger brother of Liam Thompson, playing receiver, I think he's going to be able to do some things for him at that position. Jalen Hill, their senior running back, I thought gave him some good stuff. Donovan Norris, senior tight end, had a couple nice catches. And then Caleb Four, their quarterback, 6'4", about 225. Talked to him a little bit tonight. He really looks the part, and I think if they can give him time to throw, that's going to be the key. They're going to run a lot of short passing game stuff, I think, and try to get the ball in the hands of their receivers, who can make some plays for him. But Four, I thought in the second, basically they do their kicking stuff and then come back out and they run 15 plays. And Noblesville, of course, bringing some guys in and out. It's not starters playing the whole game. But I thought North Central really kind of got it going there offensively. I thought Four looked really good during that particular stretch, especially. So I think he's going to be a guy that can do some things for him. Derek Hart was talking about what a leader he's been for their team, in the off season, and and he said it's been really tough. Gosh, you go 0-10 back-to-back years, and that's a lot. That's a lot to go through as a how it can be. And I played on teams even in high school where it's like, man, I mean, the football season can feel really long when you're not having success. And so this is a team that I think's hungry right now. I thought came out and played well tonight. On the other side, I thought Noblesville, they're going to be again a team that's going to want to run the ball. And they had Israel Oladapupo, the defensive end for him. He was running some running back as well. So I think he's going to carry the ball some for him. He's a big, obviously big physical runner. So because of some of the personnel changes they've had through graduation, of course, Logan Schaffner, their running back, the last 4 years, graduated. So that leaves a little bit of a gap there at that position. But obviously he showed some good things. I thought Aiden Brewer, he had a nice catch there in the from Max Miller in the early part of the game. Miller went over the top and put it right on him. So nice throw and catch there to set him up. Noblesville's been a team, obviously they want to run that, that sort of T-style offense where they're going to try to pound it at you and then throw over the top to Brewer, who's really good, obviously a good player going to Bowling Green, good athlete, good basketball player, going to be a good player at the next level. But he's a good player at this level for right now, and that's the important part for Noblesville. The question I would say for Noblesville is, they have lost quite a bit through graduation. How do they stack up with those top teams in the HCC? That's the biggest question. I think they can get off to. They play Mount Vernon and Homestead the first two games, so they could go into that Fishers game at 2-0, kind of like they did last year. And it didn't go very well for Noblesville last year when they played Fishers at home. I actually covered that game out here. They lost 48-22. But I think this year Fishers is going to be, they lost a lot on defense, so I think some question marks there. So if you could get to 3-0 going into Westfield, obviously that'd be a big deal for Noblesville. But yeah, just again, talking about practice, that's basically what this was tonight. I don't think you can read too much into it. I haven't really seen what happened elsewhere tonight either. But hopefully no injuries, and hopefully teams get through this week healthy. But good to see I thought North Central, it's a program that traditionally has not been very strong in football. They're known for other sports, obviously, and having success in sports like soccer and basketball, and just haven't been able to have that much success in football in recent years. I think Derek Hart very confident that they can get it done here at North Central. And that 2018 team, until that happened that year, they hadn't won a sectional in 25 years. So it's a team that's just hasn't had a lot of success here in recent years. And the hardest thing I think to do in sports is, in high school sports especially, is just get your football program going. It's a numbers game. It's a confidence thing. It's a tradition thing. So it's just really difficult to kind of dig out of that. But I think they got the right guy in place. They got a young coaching staff that's hungry to have success. And I don't know I don't know what the record's gonna be or how you kind of gauge success this year. I did talk to Derek a little bit about that, and I'll have more in written form, but we'll see. I mean, I think they can give some teams some problems with the offense they have. I think the question too is, they have some new facilities there. I think they're going to be on par with people with weight room and stuff like that. They just have to continue to get stronger, more physical, and as you do that, obviously that's going to help things. But yeah, just I think it'll be an interesting season for them. Interested to see how Derek builds his program over the years and see if he can get it going there. But I thought a pretty good showing tonight. Again, Noblesville wasn't. Both teams were putting in second team guys pretty liberally and things like that. Another thing Derek said is, hey, we didn't even. This is an offense they're not going to see the rest of the year. They didn't really prepare or do anything to kind of prepare for that offense. So you take that into account too. That's another thing that it's unlike a game where you're just not game planning for a certain offense. So it is what it is. I think everybody was healthy from what I saw. Actually, a referee got knocked down. He seemed to be okay though. So no, didn't seem to be any big injuries or anything like that, which is a great thing. So we'll be back talking to you here and elsewhere, I'm sure, throughout the course of the year. And again, North Central and Noblesville tonight. Scrimmage. Hope everybody out there was healthy and got through it, and on to week 1 next week. But again, thanks for joining me here, and obviously we have a lot more at IndyStar.com. So thanks again.